Hi fantasy managers, welcome to FPL Team Talk. In this video we're going to look at some wildcard differentials, probably differentials you might use for transfers in the game week 8 coming up. Some of these players, I'm using the word differentials, I was a little bit surprised about their ownership when I looked into it, but these are certainly players that I would be looking at bringing in. There's a lot of template wildcards out there. It's a couple of positions where you can move players on and perhaps be a bit different from that template. Get ahead in your mini leagues. Let's have a look at some of those players now. Okay, don't forget to subscribe before we move on, guys. You can always change your mind later on. Really helps the channel out. Really appreciate it. Let's have a look at the first player. First one, Bernardo Silva, 6.9 million. He's played 6 out of 7 games for Manchester City so far this season, which is a little bit surprising given that at the start of the season there was talks about him being happy, not being in Pep's plans, wanting to move on. But he missed the first game of the season. Since then, he has started in every single game. Admittedly, it seems he's playing in a slightly more withdrawn role in that midfield. He's certainly not getting forward as much. But any player that's playing for Manchester City in that midfield every week is going to be someone that I'm going to have a look at and look into more detail with. His goal involvement at the moment expected 0.39. That's nothing special. He's only got the one goal. His shots per 90 minutes 1.09. Again, it doesn't stand out. It's not sort of the Gundogan levels we got last season. So he doesn't seem to be fitting that bill. You look at those fixtures, though. They look really appealing, don't they? Burnley at home, Brighton away. Could be quite a tricky game for them there. Palace at home again. Some nice green fixtures. Then they get a little bit tougher. But it's Manchester City, so we know they can score against anyone. They can keep clean sheets against anyone. But for me, Bernardo Silva, 6.9. I love him. I think he's a wonderful footballer. With the now arrival of Foden back in the side, Grealish appearingly nailed on as well, and KDB now, you just wonder if his minutes will be affected. And in any case, he just doesn't appear to be doing enough for me. 6.9, I think there's better options elsewhere, but for a Manchester City player playing every week, I can't ignore it. At the moment, though, I'm going to give this one a pass. Reece James then, 5.5, playing for Chelsea. We know that he's been out injured. He's only played 4 to 7 games so far this season. He plays obviously on that right-hand side where Azpilicueta's been doing so well recently. Given that he's played, 32 games last season under Lampard and then Tuchel, he just looks like he's nailed on for that right-back spot when he becomes fit and available. His goal involvement this year, his expected goal involvement, wow, 0.72. To put that into context, Trent is obviously the most expensive defender in the game. He is not producing an XGI of anywhere near that. He's at 0.6. So he's already got 1 goal, 2 assists. He's just been phenomenal when he's played. Last year he got 1 goal, 2 assists, so he's already matched what he did last year. There's no way you can expect him to keep that 0.72 expected goal involvement up every week. But again, you look at those fixtures, could he keep it up for the next 4 or 5 games? Brentford away, Norwich, Newcastle, Burnley. I don't think you could possibly pick a nicer 3 games than that. Brentford away, you'd still perhaps fancy Chelsea to get on the score sheet. And even then, longer term, you've got the Leicester, you've got the Man U game, looks tricky. But Watford then away as well. So Reece James, I think you're always going to have some rotation with Tuchel, but for 5.5 million, he just offers brilliant value. I'm going to be looking and listening to that Tuchel press conference next week with real interest, because if he's fit and available, I think he's just got to come in. For 5.5, there's no one else other than Azpilicueta. You assume will move to the centre-back area when Reece James is fit. That's where he's always been deployed there before. Not a lot of competition. Hudson-Odoi maybe. Chalobah, I think, played over there once as well. But you just feel that Reece James has got that position to his own. It just depends how much rotation he gets in the league, or will it be in the Champions League? Don't know. We'll have to keep an eye. If he's fit, I just want to bring him in as soon as possible. I just think he's an absolute thumbs up for me. Phil Foden then, 7.9. Bit of a knee-jerk one, this one. He obviously scored away against Liverpool. Before that, obviously, he had a sort of elongated break after the Euros, not being fit, not being available. He came in, strange enough, I mean, it's interesting that Pep clearly has a lot of faith in Phil Foden, and why wouldn't he? He's such a good player. But for bringing him in on the last 18 minutes against Southampton when they desperately needed a goal to break that team down, then he started the game away against Chelsea, rewarded his faith there, and then he started away at Liverpool. And this is after him not playing for several months, so he's come straight back into the fold and put into an important position, and he's repaid his faith. only got limited data for Foden, 0.59, because he's only played, the 2.5 games. 1 goal, 1.38 shots per game. Given that his opposition has been away at Chelsea, then away at Liverpool, I don't think it gets any harder than that. And he's still his XGI is 0.59. That's really, really good. The problem I have with Phil Foden, I really think, is at 7.9, he's exactly the same price as Jack Grealish, who I know is absolutely nailed on. I think if I had the pair of them playing and I had to choose one of them, and I knew they're both playing, I think Foden would be more explosive. I think he would outscore Grealish, in my opinion. But I just don't know. Is he going to be playing those more high-profile, difficult fixtures, and then he gets his rests against the weaker sides, which from an FPL point of view is just the opposite of what we want to happen. So he's the same price as Grealish. I do like him. The fact that he's playing more often than Pep seems to have so much faith in him is encouraging. I would be a little bit more confident, I think, if they had won their Champions League group games so far. They obviously lost to PSG, and then maybe he could go to rest in the Champions League. But for me, 7.9 is just one of those funny price brackets. It's too expensive for me to leave a player like that on the bench. And I know Grealish is going to play every week, so far it seems. So as much as I like him, I don't think I can really invest that much money and not be sure each week whether he's going to be on the team sheet or not. I just don't like playing that game. So for me at the moment, I'll keep an eye on him, but I'm just not 100% sure. He's a great player. Will he play? Just don't know. Even though those fixtures look phenomenal, I just don't know if I can risk it. Okay, then we come across to Bryan Mbeumo. We've had him on our radar as fantasy Premier League managers since the start of the season when he was registered as a midfielder. 5.5 is just a wonderful price. Not really sure how Brentford were going to get on, and lots of people went for the Tony route when doubling up on Brentford at the start was just a little bit too risky. Since then, we know that they're a really good side. They went up to West Ham, scored twice and won. They scored 3 at home to Liverpool. They've already put 2 past Arsenal. And it may seem at the time that was a bit of a laughing stock, but we come to see now Arsenal aren't a bad side. They are defensively quite strong. Maybe they weren't in that game because they had a few players out. But point is, Brentford are playing really well. They look like they belong in the Premiership. They look like a team that's going to continue scoring. And we know Mbeumo plays up front. He plays up front alongside Tony. He's nailed on in that side. 5.5. I really like that price. His stats so far, his XIG then, so his expected goal involvement 0.58. He's had 2 shots, 2 goal involvement so far, both goals. What is interesting as well, not only is he shooting from everywhere, 2.5 shots a game, but when he does get some sort of goal involvement, it is mainly his expected goal involvement is all around goals. It's very little. It's something like 0.52 for goals and then 0.06 for goal involvement in terms of assists. So he's just more likely, if he's going to be involved, to score. And as a midfielder, that's brilliant. That's exactly what we want. He's getting much more points for that, and he's getting those bonus points racked up as well because he's getting more sort of goals in the midfield. Very difficult to take bonus points away from a midfielder who scores. So I really like him. 5.5. Unlike the Foden situation, I think if he sits on the bench, 5.5, I can live with that. But you know, having a look at their fixtures, they do have the difficult game against Chelsea coming up, then Leicester at home. Again, a difficult game, but then they have a nice run with Burnley, Norwich, Newcastle. I think if I was wildcarding now, he would be someone I'd be really tempted to go for. That price just enables you to do so many other things as well. For me, he's a thumbs up. I'm not sure whether I can bring him in right now. It depends on the makeup of his side. I'd certainly think if I was bringing him in, I'd wait until that Burnley game. But Brentford look really good side, and they look quite an exciting side going forward, and Mbeumo's a big part of that. Why wouldn't you? I think for that price, there's not many better choices out there. Okay, guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to subscribe. Give us any comments below, any other players that you'd like to look at. We love having a look at these statistical analysis of players, anyone that people have overlooked. All the players you've seen there have really low ownership, surprisingly. Reece James only around a 5%. I do expect that to get higher. But, you know, don't forget to hit that subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you soon.